Hello, and welcome back, everybody, to the show. Happy Wednesday to you all. We are wishing you the happiest of the happiest from everybody here at Mobile Music Pro. Thank you guys so much for joining. We got so much to go over, guys. It's been a week since we've been here, so let's go ahead and pause the music. It's been a little while since we've seen each other, a couple of weeks, but we are back again, and I'm just so glad to see everybody here. I'm so glad to see everybody in the live stream. We already got some funny stuff going on in there, so I'm really excited to see that, guys. Let me just say hello to everybody real quick in the live stream in the chat. We got Not a Box in here. It says, hope you had a good time fishing, Vortex. Well, of course, I didn't actually go fishing. That was just a meme. Caught up on a ton of administrative work last week. Just a bunch of stuff, released a product, which is the MIDI pack we'll talk about in a little bit. Just prepping the next sample pack. There's always something going on, guys. I'm always trying to improve the channel, release products, and really just deliver the best experience for you guys that I can. So that is what I was up to. I hope you guys had a good couple of weeks for sure. Chinchaso is here in the chat. He was the first one. We got Benjamin D. I'm going to call you, your username is BJamin since birth, but bro, I'm going to call you Benjamin D. I like that. Benjamin D or BD. Benjamin D is in the chat. He says, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. We got Nakai Music, of course, joining us again. We got the whole crew in here, everybody, the whole Mobile Music Army. We got Sean McCon in here just joining. We got Stephen Tucker in here going, what is going on? Yes, everybody is joining in, slowly coming in, slowly filtering in. Really appreciate everybody being here. We got a pretty good conversation ahead of us, a couple of good topics. We will not be making music today, guys. We're just going to be doing some discussions and things like that. There's going to be no giveaway apps and no making music today. We will just be focusing on a couple of these topics. I would like to definitely explain a few things to you guys, and then I want to have a conversation and see what you think as well about it. So really excited to get started with that. So yeah, Stephen Tucker says, what up? Yes. Glad everybody is here. Let's see. Sean McCon is already starting with the 5 gigabyte with the 5 gigabyte of RAM discussion, saying 5 gigabyte RAM is now 16 gig on the new iPad Pro, but for Apple to allow Logic Pro X on iPad Pro 2018 and up is the question. Yes. Most of the conferences are basic developer tools and methods, nothing Logic Pro. Yes, that's correct, but we're going to talk more about that in just a little bit. We're going to chat it up, as Chinchaso says. We're going to chat it up, folks. We're definitely going to have a conversation and chop it up. So before we get to that, though, just a couple of announcements real quick to let you guys know what's going on, what's up with us. We have a bunch of things going on here. So we have a brand new MIDI pack that we just released called Essentials MIDI Pack 2, and that is the second product in our series of Essentials MIDI packs. So we'll go to this right here. That is available 100% free to you guys, to the community, to help you get started, to help new producers get started, learning what some of the most popular drum patterns are, and really what's expected of drum patterns in those particular genres, because this pack comes with over 40 MIDI files in 8 genres, 8 different genres. So 5 patterns a piece, 8 genres, you get 40 different patterns. So we really hope that this is going to help new producers get started learning what's kind of the most basic fundamental patterns in each one of these genres. And I think it's going to be great. We're going to do a video on this as well. That's going to be coming up on Friday. And so again, this is the second Essentials MIDI pack. We have the first one, which is scales and chords over here. That's going to give you all the different scales and chords that you need to drop right into Cubasis to make sure that you stay in key and really help you build chord progressions and things like that. And then we just released the drum pattern Essentials MIDI pack, which will help you get started learning drums and drum patterns in the most popular genres. And that's going to come with the Cubasis 3 project files as well, which is really cool. So you can just get started if you're a Cubasis user, get started and going right in there and just open it right up and start listening. But if you don't have Cubasis or don't want to use Cubasis, of course, you're just going to get the raw MIDI files as well, ready to rock inside of any DAW. All right, cool. So hope you guys enjoy that. Let us know what you think. We're going to be sending this out, letting everybody know about it in the email this Friday, but we have released it on social media for now, and we're gonna and it's a good thing too, because there was a couple of bugs I already found, but it's already fixed. Not bugs, but spelling errors. There was a spelling error there, so I already fixed that. But yeah, that's ready to go now. So we're going to release that on Friday, the email, and everybody will be able to download it. All right, so very cool. So go and get this now. This is out now. We released it on social media. On Friday, we're going to announce it on our email. So check this out Really, really cool. Again, it's mostly for new producers, so all the patterns in there are going to be, relatively basic. This is not designed for you to drop this in and then go make a hit and go make a top 40 hit. Nothing like that. This is just again to help new producers learn. It's more of a learning tool than really to use in like actual professional productions. But you very well could, because some of the patterns in here are of course used in a number of popular songs, but they have of course additional nuances and things like that's not included in here. So this is just the basic drum MIDI patterns. We hope you enjoy that. All right, moving on. Then the next thing we're going to talk about today is going to be the WWDC. The topic after that is going to be why Logic and Final Cut Pro, when they finally do release on iOS, why that's going to be so big. And then after that, we'll discuss the 5 gigabyte limit. And then finally, I want to talk about a recent story that shows that Apple is no longer really interested in completely forcing their entire user base onto a new operating system every single year with the iOS. So we'll talk about that. All right, guys. So let me just check the chat real quick. Before we do that, actually, let's do a salute. Really appreciate everybody being here. Super, super thrilled to be here with you guys live in real time. And if you are, if you are new to the show or new to the channel, this is what we do, guys. We talk about music production, we make music, and we definitely try to keep the community informed. So definitely appreciate everybody being here. So to wherever you are and whatever you're drinking, cheers to you. All right. Yes, I'm drinking my apple juice as per usual. I love my juices. My apple juices and my cherry juices, apple and cherry. So let's check the chat and see how everybody's doing, and then we're going to get to the first topic. Yes. All right. Let me just, do I have to pull up anything over here? No, that should be good. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, we'll just leave that there. All right, let's take a look here, see what everybody's saying. Hello. Yes. Void is in the house. Void 101 is going on. What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. Cheers to you. Yes. Cheers. He says, cheers, Vortex. Cheers to you as well. Void 101. Yes, yes. What are you guys talking about here? Talking about TV? It's that. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh, here we go. Anyone tried the Orba by Artifon? Okay, that's something else. Cool, cool. All right, guys, let's get talking to this discussion. I'm excited to get started. I want to see what you think. Jade Star's in the house. What's going on, Jade Star? Hope you're doing all right. She says, hey, G, man. Yes, yes. All right, all right. Let's get started here. Okay. Let's see. So, okay, the first topic is WWDC, guys. So let's just pull that up. WWDC for aesthetic. Aesthetic. Yeah. So WWDC, if you guys don't know, of course, which you probably all know, this is the big worldwide developers conference that Apple throws every single year. And they usually release new things, like sometimes new hardware, new iPhones. And then most of the time, though, it is just software changes for iOS and things like that. So it was kind of a big letdown personally for me. And I think, Henny the Business released a video about this as well. It was an overall letdown because we were kind of expecting a lot of things from Apple this particular year, at least for music producers specifically. And we were definitely definitely let down for the most part, because again, we were kind of having these high expectations. So we were expecting, I was definitely expecting some pro versions of some software products, and that didn't happen. So I was a little bit saddened by that. But again, in my opinion, I believe this is coming. I believe this is definitely inevitable. And so every year that it doesn't come, it's just kind of like a springboard, right? It's just more and more pressure is building, so that they're going to have to launch. So when it actually does launch, it's going to be just massive. It's going to cover the amount of news that goes crazy. It's going to be a news story for a long time, much more than your standard 24-hour news cycle. It's going to be pretty big in the industry, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But the only kind of things I cared about from the new WWDC, the new iOS 2015, was only a couple of small little things. Like one of the things was the notepad, where you could actually, from any point in the screen, you could just from the corner of the screen drag up a new note. That was pretty cool, because I take notes like crazy, and that would be kind of cool to just have that in the corner while I'm making music. Even I can just just pull that up in the corner. I use the notepad in Cubasis a little bit actually as well, but because that's pretty handy to have it right there. But man, to have my notes, my main central notes, pop up, that's pretty cool. But but that's again, that's a small little thing. The other thing besides that is going to be the multitasking, because right now it's for me it's difficult to do all these different swipes and slides and going all over the places to dock things or put things on the side, and it's just kind of crazy. You see that I don't do it much at all in the live stream, and while I'm making music. But if there was this now ellipse, this vertical ellipse that's going to be at the top of every window now, that I can just tap, move to the side, tap, move to the, whatever, just tap, move to the side, tap, move wherever I want to move it, just one tap and then choose. That for me is going to be really useful. That's going to bring us a little bit closer to the desktop experience. And this is what I see happening over time, is that we are going to get closer and closer to the desktop experience, to the point to where we're literally going to have, minimize, maximize, and close buttons on every single window at some point. Like that's coming. That's going to be here eventually. And you just have to look at the trajectory. You just have to see where we're headed, all the different changes that's been happening so far, the ability to do multitasking, now with that ellipses at the very top. I mean, the next thing is going to be a minimize, maximize, close button on every window. And so that's definitely going to come at some point. And you can see where Apple is going every single year. This iOS gets closer to the desktop, to the point to where they split up iOS into iPad OS and iOS, so they could make iPad OS get really closer to the desktop, and let the iPhone still remain what it is, this very mobile, very mobile and very small portable device, a very specific user experience. But with the iPad, they're just making that closer and closer to a laptop every single year. And especially with iPad OS, I think that was a big step in that direction. And now this new multitasking features with that new multitasking ellipse, that brings us closer. And so you do the math, and in a couple more years, a couple more iOSs, and we're pretty much there as far as a desktop multitasking experience. So I'm looking forward to that. I was expecting more from them this year in that multitasking way. I was expecting a little bit more, but it was enough to nudge us a little bit closer. We're a little bit closer now. The Apple decides how far we get, to that laptop to that laptop experience every single year. But this year we only went a little bit with the iPad OS. I think that was a big jump. With this multitasking feature now, a little jump. And every year we're just going to get closer, whether they're big jumps or little jumps. They're going to be significant. Eventually, when you look back through the iterations of the iPad, you'll be able to see, I could see where iPad was going. I could see they're clearly trying to make this easier to use with a mouse. They're clearly trying to give us more multitasking features, allow us to do more and more and more and more things on this mobile device, on this iPad. So that's interesting for the multitasking experience. That's my comments on that, really. And then finally, some of the new FaceTime features were kind of cool. The ability to listen to music and watch movies with your friends during FaceTime, just with a tap of a button, like you're actually using your regular device. That's kind of cool. Again, that's a little bit separate from music production, but there just wasn't that much there for music producers, and so that was an overall disappointing WWDC for me this year. But there were a couple of little highlights, like I said, but really that was kind of it. And so, then what I do now is I look forward to the next year, and I see what hopefully I hope Apple what's going to bring next year. And I really do think that they're going to bring these pro apps to the iPad. So let's see what you guys think in the chat. I want to talk about that, and then we can move on to my next topic. But what did you guys think about WWDC? Was there anything specific that jumped out for you? And maybe as a music producer or not, really, I just kind of want to know. But let me know in the chat if anything jumped out for you. And then we can move on to the next topic. So let me say hello. Chinchaso says Worldwide Disappointment Conference. Worldwide Disappointment Conference. Worldwide Disappointment Conference. I suppose so. A little bit this year, for sure. For sure. Sean McCann says, careful, you will get pulled. Right? It's crazy. I still can't believe that people were trying to stream the event live on their YouTube channel. Like, Apple does not like that. Like, you can get banned pretty easy, for sure. But yeah, Not a Box says, strike the like. Definitely smash the like. Strike the like. If you do enjoy this content, if you enjoyed this conversation, it's just beginning. We have a bunch more to go to. So definitely strike the like, guys. Bunch more to talk about here. Joshua Good in the house. What's going on, Joshua? Justin Palsa as well. Justin Pasia. There we go. Justin, hope you're doing great, bro. Says, gotta wait another year, basically, But, we have some pretty amazing apps already. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's coming up. But there are just no pro apps with the word pro in it. That's right, unfortunately, this year. But I do believe that is going to be coming very shortly, for sure. Let's see. Sean McCon says, yeah, the WWDC runs until June 11th. This is correct. So there's a few more things, but all the big announcements are kind of out of the way for the most part. The rest is just really focused on developers themselves. APIs and getting to learn the new tech, stuff like that. But yeah. Sean McCon says there will be tighter security. Tighter security? What do you mean? What do you mean on that? I mean, there's going to be continuous more privacy for sure in the new iOS. That's really cool. In fact, since iOS 14, they've been really doubling down on the privacy features to the point to where Facebook is like had to rewrite a bunch of their code, had to rewrite a bunch of their systems and notify everybody that, hey, Apple's making these changes. We can't spy on you as easy anymore. So, just to let you know. But no, they definitely want to inform their clients and their people that use Facebook, because of course Facebook is one of the biggest platforms on the planet. There's a lot of people that use it for advertising and marketing and take advantage of a lot of those privacy features or a lot of those kind of privacy invasions, I guess you could say, that Facebook does. But for the most part, they had to kind of rewrite a little bit of their code, and with iOS 15, there's even a little bit few more things coming that Facebook might have to rewrite a little bit. But yeah, a little bit crazy. Mutable instrument rings? Mutable instrument rings. I don't know what the heck that is. Chinchasso says, I'll continue to state to me that it was still exciting to see all the cool innovations, and I'm excited for that. But towards music producers, we are a small community. They're not focused on us just yet. I mean, they are a little bit. I mean, they have poured a lot of money into GarageBand, right? They continue to pour. They release new packs, they release new updates, they release new changes. So they pour a little bit of their money for sure, into music and things like that. It's not a lot of their money. Obviously, most of their money is being poured into gaming. That's the biggest thing, because that's the biggest industry in the planet, is gaming. But then after gaming, then it's a lot of photography, and then after photography, it's a lot of video editing. And then we're producers are a little bit, kind of last on the list right now, a little bit down on the list. But as the thing gets more powerful and more people realize what you can do, we're not going to wait for Apple, right? Steinberg is not going to wait for Apple. They're going to keep making the Cubasis product better and better. Cubasis 4 will be out by 2024, 2025, in the next couple of years. Then Cubasis 5 and so on, and people will keep, we'll keep developing more and more apps. More large companies will continue to bring their apps down to the iPad, like FabFilter and FabFilter Eventide and so on. So it's just going to take some time. But yep. We got a question here. And if you guys want to get a hold of me, definitely at Mobile Music Pro. That makes it nice and bright and orange for me to see. So if you do want to get a hold of me, definitely at Mobile Music Pro if you got a specific question or anything like that. But Steven Tucker says, Vortex, do you think we will ever be able to mix in surround sound in Cubasis 3? Mix in surround sound like Dolby Digital. Yeah, that'd be dope to do 5.1 and then, 7.1 and so on. I definitely think that's going to come because of the amount of capabilities that the iPad has. I mean, it can do surround sound. It can do all sorts of different things. So I definitely believe that will come eventually. That's probably pretty far on the list, but not super far on the list. That's probably like Cubasis 4, something like that. They're trying to still get the basics. Like, we still need a good drum sequencer. We still need a little bit more advanced routing capabilities. We still need a few things. The ability to dock, grouped tracks, just a bunch of little things. And so we're going to get all that hashed out, I think, first. But once that's stable, we're on our way. Cubasis 2 was a great block to build upon. Cubasis 3 is now building upon that. But I think Cubasis 4 is going to be a really big one. That's going to have a lot of features that's going to surprise a lot of people. But that's just speculation. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm just trying to extrapolate here, just trying to look at what's happened and paint a trajectory. And to me, a lot of things are pretty clear. It's just, it just takes time to build all this stuff out. But I do think that will happen within the next few years for sure. Absolutely. Because think about it. All the video apps, of course, can always do that. LumaFusion can do that. So all these other, these video apps are already doing that. So it's just a matter of time before it comes to producers and to our DAWs inside of the iPad. Let's see. Will this kill GarageBand? I mean, I don't think that it's going to kill GarageBand. No. When they release Logic Pro, it's going to still be a completely different experience than GarageBand. Because look at it the way it is now. Logic is a completely different experience than GarageBand. So they're gonna keep that, just like it is on the desktop. They're gonna bring that down to the iPad. So there's still going to be discrepancy there. A nice starting point for GarageBand, and then for people to be able to move up to more advanced DAWs like Logic. See, Sean McCon says mainly the core haptics of music development that basically takes ideas from Apple. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the core. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the core haptics. Let's see. Wait, what are you talking about? Because I know what the heck haptics are, but what are you talking about music development there, Sean McCon? Because they do have a lot of APIs. That is for sure. But that's not going to kill GarageBand. No. Uh, BJ says GarageBand on iPad is not as good as on MacBook. That's correct. I mean, it technically doesn't have as many features. That's correct as the MacBook, and I think they're going to continue that. I think that it's going to be a pretty good Logic version. Like it's going to do most of the stuff, but there's going to be a few things they're going to reserve so they can still sell MacBooks and iBook and iMacs, MacBooks and iMacs, right? So there's a few things that they're going to probably hold back, and I'm not going to fault them for that. That's pretty standard. They have to reduce the amount of features a little bit so that they can cram it into this new paradigm of touch, right? This new really easy because there are expectations on what people want to experience on their iPad. They want everything to be easy, just a couple of touches. They want it to load up, work right the first time. So they're going to have to bring that experience to the iPad. I don't know what that looks like, but it's going to be a slightly simplified version of Logic than it is from the desktop. So. Yeah, BJ says need Ableton to hop on iOS and then they will spark Apple. Exactly. So I think Apple's going to happen before Ableton, but we'll see. But whoever does it first, whether it's Ableton Link, or if it's Logic Pro, once that comes down to the iPad, that will signal to the rest of the world. That will create a market signal to the rest of the world that the iPad is here for professional stuff. Because for the most part, the iPad is thought of like a toy in a lot of different industries. That's changing year after year after year after year, but for the most part, it is still generally thought of as a toy. But that's basic. I would say that that's now completely changed in the video editing world, but it's going to change in the music producing world as well at some point, for sure. Sean McCon says cost of Logic Pro on the Mac costs about $200. So what's the price for the iOS? I would say that they're probably going to do some kind of subscription model because they can't charge, $20, $30, $40, $50, and they don't want and they still want to bring the product to the iPad. So there's going to be, again, these price expectations. They're probably going to do a subscription model. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to do some kind of subscription. Maybe they'll have a both where you could pay like $100 or a subscription model, something like that. But they will have a subscription model available so that you pay very little upfront. Because they don't want to lose those people that are used to paying $5, $10. They want to be able to still have those people on their program. So they're going to have probably a subscription model and maybe a one-time purchase where you just get it all. That will be fine for me personally. Let's see what we see. Not a box says I miss Alchemy as standalone. Me as well. Alchemy was one of my favorite synthesizers of all time. I mean, I just love how you can, there's a few other synthesizers that take inspiration from that, like Waverly XL, but the ability to have these built-in presets that you just slide back and forth that can just change the sound dramatically with just a touch of a finger like that was really, really revolutionary. And, iPad saw that, Apple saw that, and they bought that up. They bought that real quick. So, yeah, I definitely missed that as well. You can still have it in the GarageBand, but, it's not the same. All right. $50. Yeah, Sean McCon says $50 would be acceptable. I mean, yeah, it's going to be between $50 and $100. They're going to try to make it accessible to as many people as possible. They know the platform is going to have price expectations, user experience expectations, and they're going to meet and exceed those expectations, just like they've done with GarageBand. So just, if you wonder, like, how is it going to work? How are they going to do okay? How are they going to do, how are they going to bring it here? How are they going to charge? A lot of it is going to be very similar to GarageBand. Now, GarageBand is free for the most part, but it's still, there's still parts of it that you can purchase. And that's going to be similar, I think, for Logic. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to be free, but they're going to definitely bring it down to the iPad, make the experience accessible, and both price wise and user experience wise. All right. So I think we can move on to the next topic. Very cool. Let's move on. I think I might need my fan on. Getting warm. Hopefully that doesn't mess up the mic. But we shall see. All right, let's see. Okay, yeah. So let's go right into the Logic Pro. So basically, so here's what my thoughts are on this Logic Pro. Since we're already talking about this, it's a nice transition. But basically, I do believe that Logic is going to come 100%. Logic and Final Cut. I believe they will come within the next year or two. At some point, it's going to be here. And when it does, yeah, like we were just talking about, when Logic actually does come, it is going to create what we call a market signal. And this is going to, signal to the rest of the market, to the rest of the entire industry at large, that the Apple iPad is ready for professional use. Again, it is kind of thought of as a toy in a lot of things. It's changing in certain sectors. For example, the photography and video section, it's no longer thought of as a toy. Absolutely not, for the most part. In that industry, the iPad is no longer thought of as a toy. Now, for music producers, it's still thought of as a toy, right? So it takes time for them to be able to build up to that. It takes more iterations, more software, more stability, and so forth. But it is going to happen. And I think that they are going to release that probably going to be next year. It has to be pretty soon because, again, they're not going to build all this power into the iPad. And people have said this already. They're not going to build all this power into the iPad. Put the M1 chip in the iPad. Signify to the world that they want the world to know that this iPad is capable of great things by putting that chip in there. They're not going to put that chip in there and not do great things with it. I mean, that's already a huge market signal in and of itself. The M1 chip is already a huge market signal in and of itself. When they put that chip in there and release that to the world, that was Apple saying, we are going to take this iPad seriously as a computing device, and we are going to push the limits. We're going to push the limits and push the threshold and continue to push what this Apple iPad can do and defy your expectations. This is what Apple's great at, is defying people's expectations. And they have definitely defied the expectations, I believe, through the world by putting that M1 chip in there. There was not very many people that was believing that was going to happen. There was tons of people that were saying, "Oh, the A12Z, it's already fast. Why do we need any faster? I don't need anything faster." And I'll show you guys why we need it faster in a little bit. But everybody's like, "Why do we need this?" Well, there's some people that know. Video gamers know. Video gamers know we always need more power. Music producers know we always need more power. Our music applications suck up DSP like fat kids eat cake. I mean, we have we need unlimited amounts of DSP. And for those that don't know, that's digital signal processing. We're always pushing the limits with DSP. In the music producers world, just like the video gamers are always pushing limits with their graphics. So there's always going to need capabilities for more power. And yes, the A12Z was very capable, but the M1 is 25 to 50% plus faster. And people are already telling me in Cubasis how fast stuff renders and how much more DSP that they're getting. And so that is a big factor. And so by putting that M1 chip in there, they are signaling to the world that they are going to make this device over the next decade, over the next few years. They have 100% committed. They are committed to the future of this device. And to me, that means pro apps. Maybe they couldn't get it out this year, due to timing, due to whatever. Because obviously, COVID put a hinder on a bunch of different things, slowed a lot of things down. But it is coming. It is coming, and especially with the 16 gigs of RAM, it's very, very, very important that Apple continues on their promise. Because the M1 is a promise. The M1 chip to me is a promise that Apple will not only put pro apps on here, but continue to make this more and more like a desktop, more and more capable like a laptop or a desktop. So that's my thoughts on that. And I want to see what you guys think. What are you guys thinking about so far? Let me know in the chat. What do you think of the discussion? What do you think about my thoughts here? And then we will move on to the next topic, which is the 5 gigabyte limit. I definitely want to talk about that. So let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. Scroll down a bit here. Gotta scroll down to where everybody is. Justin says, "Is Mixbox CS worth it?" Mixbox is definitely an amazing app. If you do purchase that kind of large app, hopefully you'll use it. But essentially, it's got a lot of different stuff in there. It's got guitar effects. It's got dynamics processors in there. It's got everything you need. So if you're not happy with what you have already, then buy it. Because if you already have FabFilter, or if you already have tone boosters, if you already have some of these apps, then you really mostly don't need Mixbox. Mixbox is fantastic, and I love it, but it's kind of a luxury item, right? And in fact, people kind of don't even give enough credit to the stock plugins inside of DAWs most of the time. I mean, there's a ton of videos out there where people are making a beat or a music or a song from scratch using only stock plugins because they're that good. They really are. But of course, there has to be a market. People want shiny stuff and promises and their hands held. So they're going to always be a market for more plugins. But the stock plugins really do a great job, especially in Cubasis. Cubasis has some amazing stock plugins, and I'm going to do some more videos on that in the future because people, I don't think they know how much lo-fi stuff you can get out of there, how much EDM stuff you can get out of there. There really is a lot of great stuff in there. Let's see. Let's see. 14 viewers, but only 10 thumbs up. Come on, guys. Let's get the thumbs up. Definitely smash the likes. Chinchasso says, very expensive promise. Yeah, it is a very, very expensive promise. I totally agree. Chinchasso. I mean, it's not cheap to put the M1 chip in there. That was a huge undergoing. BJ says, if you don't play guitar or bass, in my opinion, I would pass on Mixbox. Yeah, I mean, again, if you're not going to use it for the high-end mixing dynamic processing apps like EQs and compressors, and you're not going to use the guitar stuff, well, then don't get it. Definitely don't get it. But it's got a lot of good stuff for guitar and mixing as well. But again, if you already have your plugins, you're good to go for sure. Let's see. Notabox says something is wrong with the chat. Who's the Restream bot? So there's a bot from Restream because that's how I'm streaming to you guys to YouTube. It goes from OBS on my laptop to Restream to YouTube. And with Restream, that's how I'm able to put the chat on the screen for you guys and a few other things as well. But that is that's what that bot is. That's what that bot is. Let's see. So hopefully the chat is still okay, doing good. The Restream bot shouldn't be too busy. I think it only says a few things. I should check the settings to see if I can turn off the Restream chat bot. I don't know why it has to be there. So I'll check the settings, see if I can turn that off. But yeah, Sean McCon says Mixbox is now on sale right now for $47. Absolutely. We are 37 minutes past the hour so far. So if anybody doesn't have any other questions on the Logic Pro stuff, I think we beat that to death. We can move on to the next topic, to the 5 GB limit topic. If you guys are ready, let me know if you're ready, because I got some stuff to say. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, so I got a lot of stuff to say. Kind of comes with the territory, You probably shouldn't have a YouTube channel unless you like to talk a lot, and I talk a lot. I try not to talk too fast, but that's one of my problems is I definitely talk too fast a lot of the times. I try to slow it down for the tutorial videos. I really do try to do that. I think it comes out okay. But yes. All right. Let's do it. Has anyone used Presonus Atom? Benjamin asks, has anybody used Presonus Atom SQ? I hear decent things about it. It's just yet another MIDI controller. It's got a sequencer in it. Yeah. We've had sequencers for quite the long time. But yeah. All right, guys, let's continue here. So, to the next thing. To the 5 GB limit. So there seems to be confusion here with how people understand memory and CPU and DSP. So I'm going to try to explain this a little bit for you guys. So first of all, what is important to understand, and first of all, let me say this. This is all coming from a software developer with over 15 plus years of experience. I have the neck beard to prove it. I'm a programmer. I've been a software developer for a long time. That was my main career path for the majority of my adult life, doing software development, specifically in ASP.NET web development, C#. That was my main forte. I did a lot of server-side programming there, but a lot of front-end programming as well for doing HTML, CSS kind of stuff as well. But my main jam was ASP.NET C#. So take this. Understand that this information is coming from somebody with some great deal of experience of how computers actually work, how they operate, and things like that. So, and of course, some of you in the chat may be right there with me, and that'd be great. You can help answer questions. But essentially, I understand how computers work. I've been programming for 15 plus years, and I have a couple of things to say about this. So, first thing to note here is that memory limits on operating systems for applications have existed for decades. Since Windows 95 and before, the operating system itself has to put limits on every single application. And if they don't do that, what happens is the applications already, as a software developer, I can tell you, we crawl and we beg for every last little tiny megabyte, every last little ounce, every last little kilobyte, every last little byte. And especially in the web development world, when we're talking about streaming, data over the wire, every last little kilobyte matters. Every last little byte matters. And so applications are already crawling and trying to get every single last megabyte that they can just to operate. But then beyond that, there's all sorts of other applications that would just as soon rather take more memory than another application, right? Like, it's kind of a free-for-all. If the guardian itself, you can think of the operating system as a parental guardian. If the parent guardian doesn't stop the kid from accessing to an entire candy store, the kid's going to eat all the candy. And so that's kind of how it works here. So memory limits, for example, have always existed in iPads, iPhones, computers, laptops, dating far back before I was born. And so, for example, in the 2020 iPad, there is a RAM limit of 3 gigabytes per app. And even though it comes with 6 gigabytes of RAM. And the reason for this is so that, for a couple of reasons. One is for security reasons, so that an app can't just take up, exorbitant amounts of memory and use that to create back holes. So security reasons. Another reason is that they have to make sure that the operating system itself runs smoothly at all times. So you have to make sure that when I do this, when I open up an app, everything is quick. When I do this, there's no out of memory errors. When I want to move stuff around, open up a folder, open up a new app, stuff has got to work. Stuff's got to open up right away without errors and things like that. So it has to work. And in order to do that, the operating system sets aside a certain amount of memory for itself and for random access processing. So for the ability to be able to switch between apps, app switching and things like that. So there's a certain amount of RAM that has to be kept for the operating system and for security reasons so that each app can run in its own little isolated world and still play well with everything else in the operating system. So what is this going to do? So what does this really translate to? So what this means is, yes, if you do buy, for example, the 16 gig version of the 2021 with the 5 gigabyte RAM limit on there, yes, there is going to be, each app will be limited to 5 gigabyte, but the rest of the RAM is not underutilized. It's not being just sitting there doing nothing. It is always doing something. So if you are going to spend $2,000 for 16 gigabytes of RAM, one would hope that you are doing a whole heck of a lot of multitasking. One would hope that you got the browser open, you got a video editing program open, you got audio editing program open, you got just multiple things open, like your social media, researching, docs, Microsoft documents, and so forth. If you a power user, I guess you could say, would be the only people that would need 16 gigabytes of RAM to be able to do all of that stuff. But that doesn't mean that just because each app is limited to 5 gig doesn't mean that the rest of the RAM isn't being utilized, right? There's no hustling going on. Apple is not governing any amounts of memory or stopping or preventing somebody from doing something that somebody else couldn't. So every single app is equal. And every single app has the same opportunity to run. Now, because there is still so much processing power left to go, like there is going to be an additional RAM limit upgrade. So, for example, they are going to continue to up the limits. So, in 2020 iPad, the RAM limit was 3 gigabyte per app. In the 2021, currently it's 5 gigabyte. That, in my opinion, will be increased in the next year or two, in the next couple operating systems, to maybe to around 8 gigabytes, 6 to 8 gigabyte. But you got to remember, it's still got to be okay for the 8 gigabyte laptop, for the 8 gigabyte iPads. So they can't really go over 8 gigabyte for an app limit. So in my opinion, it's going to be around maybe 6, maybe increase to 6, maybe 6.5, maybe 7 at the most. But you're going to have to wait to have more and more RAM before you can up the limit. So for example, in the 2022 iPads, they're definitely going to up the RAM limit there. And they're going to do that every single iPad as they get more RAM in there, and as they make the operating system itself more smooth, and if they figure out more bugs and so forth, and as app developers figure out how to optimize their applications more and more, you are going to see more and more performance increases. So far, let's see. I'm going to check the chat real quick, make sure everybody's following along so far. All right. Chinchazo says, I got a computer science degree and I'm about to start digging into programming. Unsure what language. Well, the language depends on what you want to do. Do you want to do web development? Well, there's a few languages. Do you want to do music programming? Well, there's a few different languages. Do you want to do graphics programming? Well, there's a few different languages. So it all depends on what you want to do. That will dictate the language that you use. So we're going to keep going here. I got more stuff to say about this. BJ says the issue is they gave computer spec RAM and computer prices, but no application that matches. Right. So, excuse me. So there is a couple of applications that can definitely, max out some stuff, BJ. So that statement I would say is incorrect. So for example, Cubasis can really max out. You can max out, the amount of stuff that you need. This goes into the discussion of we already have pro apps, essentially, right? We have LumaFusion. We have Cubasis. These apps are semi-pro. They're really close. LumaFusion probably even closer to Final Cut Pro than Cubasis is to Logic, but still, we already have these pro apps that take up a ton of memory and can take up a ton of memory. I mean, you can already edit 4K video on the 2020 iPad in real time easily and scrub through that thing instantly. And people are saying, on LumaFusion, and people are saying there's no apps that can take advantage of it. So there absolutely is. Again, it's all about the workflow. So if you have a bunch of apps open, then you will be taking advantage of that 16 gig. The apps are still, and because remember, the 16 gigabyte of RAM is not the only thing that's in the 2021 iPad. There's also the M1. That's the other half. You have the 16 gigabyte of RAM, and then you have the M1. And when you combine that, that's when you get the performance increases, because now you get more memory per app because it's increased from 3 gigabyte to 5 gigabyte. So they've done that, and they've given you a 50% boost in the CPU. So now you have more DSP. And we'll get into this in a second, but essentially, with the additional RAM limit upgraded to 5 gigabyte from 3, and the M1, you have a much more capable system, and that will increase with the next iPad. You'll probably have a limit of 8 gig on the app, and then the M2 processor, right? They're going to continue increasing this over and over, and the software. There is some software apps that can demand that. For example, these LumaFusion apps, video editing apps, Cubasis music production apps, and video games. All of these are always asking for more power. Always. Let's see. Sean McCann says, this is why Apple doesn't give us the access that's possible. Good luck unlocking iPad to allow maximum capabilities. I mean, there's already maximum capability. There's already tons of capabilities. People have replaced their entire, video editing workflow with the iPad. Already. People have replaced their entire music production workflow with the iPad already. So, it's already happening. And we don't even have the pro apps with the word pro in it. And it's already happening. So imagine when those apps come to the iPad. It's going to be crazy. But I believe we already have apps that are semi-pro. Are they semi or are they pro? I would, again, Cubasis is really close. And it all depends on how you use it, right? It's very subjective on how you use your workflow. Some people, I would argue, can make Cubasis a pro app. I would argue there's some people that can make Cubasis a pro app. I would argue that most people use Cubasis as a semi-pro app. But it's all in what you do. You guys know as much as I do that people were making music on a 4-track in 1980s, right? This is a continuation of that. We have things and capabilities and features in this iPad that people would kill for just 10 years ago, just 15 years ago. This is already a huge landmark deal here. All we're doing now is we're filling in the last bit of gaps, the last bit of features, right? Last bit of pro features that only are there, that are only desired mostly because of their capabilities on the desktop. So that's going to come down like everything else comes down, to the mobile version. Let's see here. Who keeps tablets that long? I'm not sure what the question is there, BJ, but I tend to upgrade my iPad every 3 to 4 years, and I pretty much always get a refurbished version. This one is no different here. I got the 2018 refurb, and it is running beautifully because Apple devices don't really degrade for the most part. All right, cool. So let me let me keep going here. So So on this very subject here with RAM and with CPU, if we take a look here at this project, we can see that I have 24 plugins in here. So if I close this open, let me close Cubasis and open it back up, and you'll see that it has 23 plugins. Let's open this up. So if we open up this project, loading plugins, 23 plugins, right, are on here. Now, iPad has the amount of RAM capability in here already. And this is a 2018 iPad we're running on. This already has the capability to run 100 plugins. I could put 100 more. I could put 100 plugins in here, but there's a caveat to that. So, for example, when I add a new plugin in here, for example, let's just add something. If I add a new plugin in here like Adverb, that goes into the memory. This part right here goes into the memory. But this is very important. This RAM, this right here, this plugin goes into the memory. But once you hit that play button, once you hit that magical play button, something else comes into play called DSP. This is called digital signal processing. This is essentially how much digital signal you can process, your CPU can process in real time. And if you look right now, it's taking a little bit of DSP here. But if I hit that play button, this DSP is going to jump to 80%. So let me hit play. Hopefully that's not too loud. Let me know if that's too loud. But you can see this is going to 80% now. Okay, now this right here, this DSP, this has nothing to do with memory. This has nothing to do with RAM. This has the DSP itself. We've been using DSP in computers and for 20 plus years, with 1 megabyte of RAM. So the DSP itself really has nothing to do with RAM. This has everything to do with your processor. If I had the M1 right now, this DSP would be way down. Like my CPU processing and DSP would be way down. It wouldn't need this much processing power. So, for example, here we have this track. This was a track I made on the live stream. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this. Let's remove this plugin real quick, just so I don't know what the heck is going on. Where do we add this plugin? Let's just remove this plugin. There we go. Let's just remove this plugin. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this track, this pad synth, and I'm going to duplicate this track. Now let's take a look at how much DSP we're using. We are now using 90+% DSP, right? 90%. And I don't even have that many tracks on here. Don't even have that many plugins, 24, maybe 30 plugins now with this, 24, 25 plugins. We have, 15 or 16 tracks on here. This isn't too crazy, right? Now I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this one more time. And if I do that, when I duplicate this, you're going to see how everything is going to die. Observe. I'm going to hit play, and we're going to duplicate this track. Now look, we are now clipping. We are now clipping. So now this project, essentially, I cannot continue on this project until I reduce the amount of DSP, the amount of processing power that my CPU has to actually go through, until I reduce the amount of DSP that my CPU has to process. Now we do that in several ways, of course. We freeze tracks. That's the big thing, is converting stuff to audio. We combine tracks so we can reduce the amount of tracks. But essentially, this is a 2018 iPad, and we're not doing too amount of crazy things here. And now with the 2020, it's not going to be much of a difference because that processor isn't that much faster than the 2018. Now with the M1, you would be able to add more plugins and be able to run more plugins simultaneously. You'd be able to actually run them. You'd be able to process more DSP. And that is that's the difference between CPU and RAM. I can hold 100 plus plugins in here, but I can't actually run them because it's too much DSP. If I hit the play button with 100 plugins, the program would probably crash. So if we reduce this, if I delete this track, if I delete this track right here, we'll instantly be able to play again back to 90%. So now we're back to 90% again. So essentially, that is DSP, that is CPU, that is RAM in a nutshell. That is why the RAM really isn't too much of a concern in the 2021 for music producers. What is the concern mostly is the processor. That is what we care about. We care about DSP. And yes, of course, we care about RAM, but we've already got a ton of RAM, 5 gigabyte plus per app, and a total of 8 to 16 gigs, which means all of our other apps will run super quick in the background. We can instantly be able to switch to them, no problem, no out of memory errors, no security problems, nothing like that. No additional issues that comes with allowing apps to have too much memory. And so that is the big difference, guys. That is why the M1 is such a big game changer for music producers, because of the amount of DSP that it can handle. And that's a huge big thing. And again, we already have plenty of memory for doing most things, plenty of memory. What we need more is a little bit more memory, but also more processing. And the M1 definitely delivers on that. So I want to hear what you guys think about that. That is why the RAM limit doesn't really matter, because it has increased from 2020 already. It's almost doubled. The 3 gigabyte RAM limit from 2020 goes to 5 on the 2021. And our CPU goes from the A12Z to the M1, which is a 50+% performance boost alone. So that is that. That's what I wanted to say about that, about DSP and about memory. So again, I'm not trying to defend Apple. I'm not trying to defend the iPad. I'm just trying to tell you from a software developer, from a software engineer's point of view, what this looks like, and why personally I am not concerned at all that the limit went from 3 gigabyte to 5 gigabyte. Because the year after that, it'll go to 6 or 7 or 8. And then the year after that, it'll go to 8, 9, or 10. And it'll continue to increase as Apple puts more memory, more processing power, and gives us more features. That is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Is yes, it's nice to have 16 gig, but you can get away a lot with 6 to 8 gigabyte of RAM, especially because of how fast the memory is these days. We're talking about 16 gigabyte of RAM today is not 16 gigabyte of RAM in 2004. The 16 gigabyte of RAM today is lightning fast. 5, 6, 7, 8 generations past the 16 gigabyte of RAM from 2004. So when you have 6 to 8 gigabytes of RAM in this iPad, lightning fast memory, tied to Apple's architecture with all their custom silicon, and then an M1, you have the most tightest ecosystem, the most performance that you could every last performance that you could ever hope to get, you will have inside of that device. So let's see what you guys say. Hopefully I didn't go too techie on you. Hopefully I didn't go too crazy or too ranty, but I want to see what you guys think. So I'm going to check out the chat. Let's see what they got here. Down under? Not a box says very down under. When I see the word down under, all I can think of is down under from Australia. All right. BJ, yeah, that says that. Yeah, BJ says that makes sense. Benjamin says that makes sense. Yep. Sean McCon says, this is a pure explanation. That's the purest explanation I've heard on the subject. Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Sean. Really, really appreciate that. Again, just trying to make this nice and clear and apparent, because there's a lot of misunderstanding, and I completely understand. It's okay. Not everybody's a software engineer. Not everybody's been programming for 15 plus years, guys. Not everybody's been on the iPad since 2012. I know. I get it. So I just try to give you guys my opinion the best way I can, the most transparent way I can, to inform you, to keep you up to date, to keep you informed, to keep you intelligent, to keep you on the cusp of what the heck is actually happening and going on. And I really want you guys to be informed. I really, really, really do. So I had to get this off my chest to make sure everybody is on the same page. Benjamin says, Void 101 says, great explanation. Thank you very much, Void. Thank you so much. Benjamin says, so basically buy the cheapest M1 and use Thunderbolt. Pretty much. I mean, the M1, the smallest M1 comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM, guys. Like that's a chunk. That's a fatty chunk of RAM plus the M1 itself. Darn. I mean, that you're going to get a pretty good experience out of that. And then of course, next year there'll be a freaking M2 or something, I mean, they're not going to stop. They have signaled to the world that they want the iPad to be the best mobile processing, the best mobile device on the planet forever and ever. Because there was a whole lot of engineering and money that went into putting that M1 into the iPad. That was not an accident. That was a market signal. So you got to pay attention. Gotta pay attention. Not a box says the music you played. Yeah, this was just made on the live stream. Nothing too crazy on here. I don't even remember what track I duplicated. I should probably delete that duplicated track. But yeah, this was just made on the live stream. Pretty fun. Hope you guys enjoyed that day. This was made on May 5th, May 12th. May 12th. So if you want to see me make this, not a box. If you want to see me, anybody wants to see me make this track that you listen to, we made this live on May 12th on the live stream. Okay. Yes. BJ says, thank you for the great explanations. All right. Very, very cool. Justin says, I hope I'm still alive to see those things happen. Yeah, I mean, guys, this decade is going to be an amazing decade. There's going to be a lot of bad things, but there's going to be a lot of good things as well. Some of the bad things will be sort of in the economic route, but there's also a caveat to that because you have cryptocurrencies. So there's going to be some crazy stuff happening, but there's going to be a balance to it. There's always going to be a balance to it. And where we're headed, clearly, guys, I mean, we're going to the golden age. We're going to a golden age. We just got to get through some of this craziness right now. People have a lot of concern, a lot of issues. There's still a lot of stuff to do, guys. Still a lot of stuff to do. We're still early, but the last 100 years have been amazing, transformatively amazing. We've made more progress in the last 100 years than we have in the last 10,000. So I guarantee you, over the next 100 years, it's going to be pretty awesome. This century is going to get pretty interesting. Specifically, this decade is going to get very interesting for a number of different things: VR, AR. Mobile processing, like the iPad and stuff for music producers, cryptocurrencies. It's going to be huge. Sean McCann says we should take all these Mobile Music Pro blogs and share his content over the web. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably clip out some of this stuff and put it into a little 1 minute clip because I like to do that for the live stream. But those are like the main points I wanted to get across. Okay. So there's one final topic to go, guys. I got one final topic. If you have no other questions on this, we are 1 hour past when we started. So we are 1 hour into the show, and I have one more topic to go. Let's see what we got. Oh, AI. Yeah, duh, Void. I forgot AI. Pfft, good call. AI. AI is going to be massive this decade. That's another big thing. So there's a number of different things. Well, transhumanism, not a box. We're not gonna dive into cybernetic bodies quite yet. That's a couple more down the road, a couple more decades down the road, most likely. But yeah, it's gonna get to be crazy where we're gonna have to really start asking ourselves what it is to be human. That is definitely going to be a question that will be asked considerably by the end of the century. We're going to have to ask what it means to be human because we're going to have full AR, full AI, full VR. People will be living in computers. We're going to have to ask what it means to be human. But it's going to be an interesting conversation, that's for sure. Hopefully I'll be living along enough to see that. Okay. Now, final topic. Oh, I don't have the browser up. Let me find this page real quick. Mac rumors. Won't make upgrade. Bum, 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 na, na, na. Here we go. Okay, so here is an article. The next subject we're going to be talking about is this. We're going to talk about Apple's operating system, the iOS, that they release every single year. Now, let me just talk about this a little bit because I actually had a pretty good discussion with somebody, or not a good discussion, but a discussion with somebody a few weeks back where they got so crazy that they literally blocked me. Like I just kept trying to tell them that, look, this is not a good idea. What Apple does is releasing a new iOS every single year with huge sweeping changes. We saw what happened in iOS 14. We saw what happened in iOS 9. These were the worst of the worst, but every single iOS brings with it new bugs. We have to have the developers have to fix something. They add new features. They have to work around or something. Every single year, they release a ton of new features, and it is bloating the operating system. It is also evolving it, which is good, but it is at the same time, a lot of it is bloating the operating system. There's so many features that people didn't ask for that they just keep adding every single year. And there's a fine line between innovation and then bloating your operating system, right? Like just putting too much stuff in there. And I'm all for evolving and, new operating system and making, changes and going forward. But the thing is that there's an ecosystem that depends on these things now. There's a huge worldwide ecosystem that depends on these devices. And if you are forcing the entire world to upgrade every single year, that puts a massive amount of burden on business, on commerce, on developers. It creates a massive burden for content, for entrepreneurs, right? For companies developing for this platform. So again, I'm all about wanting to evolve, get better, have more security, have more privacy, have more features, and all these different things. But it comes to a point where you have to give the users at least some kind of choice, some kind of break. And I was saying this, for months. I've been saying this for months now, and specifically on, in various people's live streams and on Jacob's Hack live stream. I tried to tell this one person, and they straight up like wouldn't have it. They're like, no, we need a new iOS every year. We need to have it, all these new things. We have to move forward. And I'm like, yo, like, who says we have to do anything, first of all? But who says that creating this new iOS every single year is a good idea in the first place, right? Apple would have us believe that that's a good idea. But the truth of the matter is that back in the 90s and the 2000s, early 2000s, operating systems didn't come out for 3 to 4 to 5 plus years for new computers. And the reason was, one of the main reasons was, of course, is there wasn't really the internet there, to distribute instantly, of course. But another big thing is that they wanted to really make sure that everything is baked, ready to go when they push it out the door. When they press that CD-ROM, they wanted to make sure that this thing is going to run as soon as you put it in. And there was, that really allowed all sorts of things to take place in the ecosystem. It allowed people to learn. It allowed people to create schools of technologies of Windows Server operating systems that could run a few years without having to change their entire curriculum. So it did a number of different things for the industry and for the ecosystem. But where we are now with Apple just forcing a new operating system on the, even in the Mac OS, you can still have a pretty good choice. You can still run an old operating system for a while. But with the mobile devices, they are really, really, really trying to push us every single year. And now an article comes out, after a couple months after I've been ranting about this to people, the article comes out that says this: Apple won't make you upgrade to iOS 15 and will continue to provide security updates for iOS 14. So basically, iOS now offers a choice between 2 software updates in the Settings app. You can update to the latest version of iOS 15 as soon as it's released for the latest features and for the most complete set of security updates, or you can continue to be on iOS 14 and still get important security updates until you're ready to upgrade to the next major version. That's all I was asking for, guys. That's all I was talking about. For the last few months, for that person who blocked me in Jacob Hack's chat, this is all I really wanted, was the choice. Why do you have to force us to update? Why do I have to always click later on the update, always click later? Obviously, you guys know what I'm talking about. Jacob Hack did a rant on it recently about Apple's freaking notifications about upgrading to the new operating system, just forcing everybody with that button. No ability to say hold on, or no ability to cancel. Just nope. Just give me the update again later. Give me the update again later, forever, for infinity. And so, all I want is a choice to be able to not have to upgrade, to not tap that button every freaking time I open up my phone to not upgrade. That's all I want. Like, let me have an option to stay on my current operating system without being hassled by notifications constantly. And I think we're going to get that from here on forward. And so I'm really, really happy about this. I'm really, really thrilled. I want to see how this actually plays out. But I want to let everybody know that, this is the right direction. I believe this is heading in the right direction to not force your users to upgrade to new iOS every single year. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. What do you guys upgrade to the latest iOS? I mean, most people I know don't upgrade right away to the latest iOS because, of course, of how buggy every single new version is. Extremely buggy, specifically for music producers. Our apps just stop working, and our AUV3 apps just stop loading, and it's mind-boggling. That Apple would force us to do this every single year. To me, it's always been mind-boggling. But let me know what you guys think in the chat. Let's see what we say here. Take a look at what everybody's saying in the chat. Look at Firefox. All 6 months an update. So do you mean? I think you mean an update every 6 months, Void. I think that's what you mean. But yeah, Firefox started doing crazy amounts of updates. So Google Chrome as well. They all started doing like just insane amounts of updates. Chrome and Firefox. I could understand for security reasons, but man, to force us to upgrade every single time, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It gets out of hand, out of control, and it puts a big, huge burden on developers and a big, huge burden on the ecosystem at large. Because it's just not needed. It's just not needed. Oh, Dimitri. Dimitri was in here. It says, "Hi guys, just joined." Hey, Dimitri. Thanks so much for joining. We've been talking. About the last hour now about a bunch of new stuff with the iPad. We're talking about WWDC. We talked about the 5 GB RAM limit, and we're now talking about Apple finally allowing us to have an option to upgrade to the latest iOS. Let's see. Not a Box says we have to ask this now. The return of Second Life. Void 101. Yeah, it's coming, man. It's gonna be called Third Life, and it's gonna be fully AR. That'd be funny. Third Life. Yeah, Dimitri, we stream every single Wednesday and have new videos out every single Friday. And we just released a brand new product, a brand new MIDI pack for new producers. So if you are a new producer or a novice producer, you can definitely check that out. It's 100% free. Because that's what we do. We take care of our producers, music producers. That's our family. We got a guy in here, his name Ram. Ram. Oh wait, is that Ram from my Discord chat? There's a couple different Rams. But yeah, if not, very much welcome to you, sir. We were just talking about the 5 GB RAM limit. So your name is Ram. Yep, nice to have you here. We do live streams every Wednesday and videos every Friday. Let's see. Sean McCon says Windows went from Windows 98, Windows Vista, Windows XP, yeah, and then it went to Windows 7. But that didn't happen every single year, Sean, right? 98, Vista was 2002 or 3 or 4. Windows 98 was obviously Windows 98. Windows XP was 2012, I think. Or man, maybe I got that wrong. Windows 7 might have been 2012. Windows 7 might have been 2012. But yeah, I mean, it was just, 2, 3, 4 years between operating systems, for sure. Not a Box says, "You are so right, Vortex." Thank you. Void says, "You are right." Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I really do think, guys, that we just don't need to be bombarded for a new iOS every single year. Just give us the option. That's all I want. So thank you guys for agreeing with me. Really, really appreciate it. Benjamin says, I also think they should not release a new device every year. Yeah, I mean that's hey, I really wouldn't mind having a new iPad every 2 or 3 years instead of every single year, guys. I mean, hey, I want to get there as fast as you guys want to get there. I want to have full blown, Logic Pro or Cubase's 4 or just the latest, the greatest. I want to have everything as well. I want to have my cake and eat it too. But guys. We have to build out an ecosystem here. We have to build out applications. We have to build experiences for people to use. And if these experiences just keep getting bugged out and destroyed every year and have to be upgraded every single year, that's a pretty big burden. But yeah, that's a pretty big burden. Windows XP. Void says Windows XP is Mac OS in 1989. I mean, kinda. I like XP. I did not like Windows ME though. Windows Millennium Edition gang. Yeah. Ram says ME gang right here. ME. No. I would not be using Windows ME. I'm still on Windows 7, believe it or not. But that's just me. I don't like change a whole lot. I'm on Windows 7. I'm on an older computer. I'm going to get a new computer this year, though. I'm going to do it. Get a new computer, upgrade to Windows 10. So, got to do it eventually. Because I think they stopped supporting Windows 7 this year or last year. I think they stopped supporting it. So I gotta finally go to Windows 10. And I upgrade my iPad about every 3 or 4 years or so. And yeah, I would like releasing a new device every year. I don't know, man, if that's a good idea or not. It definitely moves the entire ecosystem forward, but at what cost? At what cost? Do we need to go that fast? That's some of these questions I want to ask. Like, do we really need a new iPhone every year? Do we really need a new iPad every single year? And do we really need a new operating system every single year? Look, I want more emojis as much as the next person, but don't force an entirely new operating system on me for a couple of new emojis, right? For a couple of new gestures or a couple of new features, that you think some teenagers will want. This is much beyond the kids now. These devices are being depended upon in industry after industry, from the medical industry to the finance industry, to even the music industry is starting to come up, but the video editing industry, these are devices that are depended on. Sean McCon says, "I am unsure about the Apple updates. If you turn off the option to download it, can the banners force that and the install?" So they can't force you to install, but they can have that darn pop-up that happens every single time you open up your iPad or iPhone that says, would you like to upgrade? Every single time. Every single time. Every time. It really does get annoying after a while, guys. It really does. After a few years, it's really gonna. I have a tick. It's like I think I have a tick in my brain that clicking that button has caused. Yeah, Stephen Tucker says not needed, but moves technology forward. Yeah, it's like I said, it does. It moves it faster exponentially. I understand. I said that. I said it moves us faster, but at what cost? Right? At what? It's not all free. These exponential evolution, these exponential moves aren't free. There is a cost. There is a cost. Void says I'll stick to my teletype. Yeah. But for sure, I mean, even if you look at the article here at the bottom, it says like, with prior updates, Apple has prompted users to update right away and has stopped signing past versions of iOS to make it impossible to downgrade. You literally can't downgrade. Not only are you forced to upgrade, but you can't downgrade in the past. And that's changing now with iOS 14 and 15. This will be useful. The article says this will be useful for those who are not able to update their devices because of device restrictions or requirements implemented by work organizations or schools. So wouldn't you know, this is what I'm talking about, the ecosystem. That involves things like schools. That involves things like hospitals. Okay? These devices are extremely important to these people, and they are not prepared. They do not have the resources to update their software every single year like that. To be prepared for a entirely new operating system every single year, they just don't have the resources. Sean McCann says never seen that view. Yeah, that's the iPad view, or that's the laptop view, because that's what's actually streaming everything together. Everything is connected to the iPad. So I have my iPad over here for the chat. I have my main iPad here. I'm talking, and of course I have my laptop that is looking at me right now. And of course we have the backstage view, because why not have a backstage view? You can see my iPad over here from that view, a couple other things, but yeah, backstage. You know how we do. All right. Let's see. Shaman Khan says, yes, you can force downgrade. I mean, there's some, like, it's not easy, dude. Like, it is not easy. And you pretty much have to jailbreak your device to downgrade. It's not easy. It's not recommended. I don't recommend anybody do it unless you have a fully signed version from Apple. All right. Because otherwise you can get all sorts of, miscellaneous things in there. There's a reason why Apple cryptographically signs every single version. So for sure. All right. I think we're doing pretty good here on time. Holy smokes, made it all the way to quarter after, an hour and 15 minutes without even making music. So I really appreciate you guys being here. I know it can definitely get long-winded and all that, but I had a lot to say. I wanted to hear what you say and what you guys think about what's going on. A lot of stuff going on. And I really enjoy my time being with you guys here. So definitely. Yeah, Sean McCann says, yeah, jailbreak is easiest. So Sean's like, it's totally easy to downgrade. You just got to jailbreak your phone. Sean, there's so many things that comes with jailbreaking your phone that's not good, bro. There's so many negatives. It's not a good idea for your average consumer. If you're a tech guy, of course, do whatever you want. If you're a software developer, do whatever you want. But I mean, for regular people, no. Do not jailbreak your device. All right. Cool. I think that was my last topic. Let me check. Yeah, so I think that was my last topic, so I really appreciate everybody being here. Just so you know, next, for this week's video on Friday, I will be talking about the latest pack that we released. And just so you guys can see here, I just want to bring up a couple of these projects that comes with the new pack. So if we take a look here, we'll just pull up the Trap project, or in fact, let's pull up the Boom Bap project. So, because you can see here that it's going to come with the Trap, Boom Bap, EDM, Hip Hop, Lo-Fi, Pop, Rock, and Synthwave. So that's 8 total genres, and you don't get these audio files in here, but you get all these patterns. And so I just really excited to help for this to help new producers, because if you're a new producer and you don't really know what patterns are in a specific genre, or at least the basic fundamental patterns, you might go to a YouTube channel and get like, you know, the most complicated rhythm with all this, and the producer might talk fast like I do, and all sorts of things, and you might not get it. But you just open up a Cubasis project like this, you know, and you can already kind of get a good beat going. You can understand, you can really begin to understand the fundamental properties that make up a pattern, a drum pattern. And then there's a bunch of these here, 5 of them for each genre. And then I have an audio file in here that you can test stuff out with. Switch the pattern. Switch the melody. This is the boom bap. Yeah. So, really excited about this product. I really think this will help new producers. That's what we're all about here, is helping producers, specifically new producers. That's kind of what Mobile Music Pro is mostly targeted for right now. But we have some pretty advanced tutorials in there, and we're gonna do some more advanced stuff as time goes on, with more music theory, more sound design, a bunch of cool stuff like that. So looking forward to that. But yeah, let's just say hello to the chat, just see what you guys are saying real quick, and then I think we can end it. But I really appreciate everybody being here, guys. We'll of course have a new video on Friday, and we'll of course be here every single Wednesday. And next Wednesday we'll be back making music, because something special's coming next week, guys. It's pretty cute. I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited, guys. I got something special coming for you next week. This week we released the pack there. There we go. I'll show you guys here. No, that's not what I want. Mobile Music Pro. But yeah, we released the pack this week, guys. The Essentials MIDI Pack 2, completely free. Drum patterns pack. And next week we got something else to announce. It feels like we're announcing something every week, but there's just so much stuff coming down the pipe, guys. So if you do want to pay attention to everything we got going on, you can sign up for our free newsletter here at the bottom of our website, join our mailing list. But there's always much more stuff on the way. Really appreciate everybody being here. So I think we'll just start turning on the music right now, and we'll say, well, let me just say goodbye to everybody here. Make sure everybody is okay in the chat. Okay, cool. Yeah, everybody's good in the chat. All right, guys. I really appreciate everybody being here. Let's turn on the music and say goodbye. Yes. Was it playing? Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you again so much for being here. Really appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so much for everybody in the live stream. Thank you guys for listening to me rant. I had a lot of stuff to say. Hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully it helped you in some way. Definitely reach out to us if you have any feedback. But we always got more things coming down the pipe for you guys. Thank you so much to all of our patrons. I really appreciate it. I don't have too much extra stuff for the patrons, but we just release so much stuff to everybody. So hopefully the patrons are okay with that and see the long-term vision about why we're here. So thank you guys again so much for joining. I really hope you have a great week. We will see you again on Friday, and then next Wednesday we'll be making some music. So until next time, everybody, keep talking music. See you later.